I shall not see the sun. Bloody knife, mutters to Custer, his voice trembling with dread. The native scout's warning falls on deaf ears, as Custer smirks. The 7th can lick anything. Days later, he'd lead hundreds to their doom. How did one man's arrogance ignite a massacre? Subscribe to Native Legends and History Stories to find out what really happened. June 24, 1876. George Armstrong Custer rides at the head of his 7th Cavalry, pushing 660 men through the Rosebud Valley's rugged trails. They've marched 28 miles today, a brutal slog under a blazing sun. Horses stumble their hooves, kicking up dry earth. Mules in the pack train balk, dropping gear as they lag behind. Custer's in a hurry, barking orders to keep moving. He's got 30 officers, 45 scouts, and over 500 enlisted men, some so green they've never fired a carbine. He's banking on a quick win. A headline-grabbing triumph to reach Philadelphia by July 4th. For the centennial celebration, the Democratic Convention starts in 3 days. Too tight to make it, but if he strikes fast, victory news could travel east, paying off debts with lecture fees, and cementing his name as a national hero. He adjusts his buckskin jacket, red cravat flashing, and scans the horizon, undeterred by the exhaustion etching his men's faces. Across the Little Bighorn, a massive village hums with life. 7,000 to 8,000 Lakota and Cheyenne, including 18 to 2,000 warriors, sprawl across the west bank of the greasy grass, as they call it, teepees, dot the plain in tight semicircles. Nearly 1,000 strong, a sight so striking that historian Nathaniel Philbrick later calls it one of the most hauntingly beautiful valleys in the world. This isn't just a camp. It's a fortress born of necessity. President Grant's administration has banned guns on reservations, crippling their buffalo hunts. His failed bid to buy the Black Hills, sacred ground the Lakota refused to surrender, pushed tensions to a breaking point. Reservation populations swelled over winter. Food ran thin, now bolstered by crazy horses. June 17th, victory over General Crook at Rosebud. Warriors and families flock here. Wooden Leg, a young Cheyenne who'd later recount this in 1903, remembers chasing girls and playing games. A carefree buzz fueled by their sheer numbers. Too many, they think, for any soldier to dare attack. Evening settles and Sitting Bull slips away. From the celebration, he climbs a knoll, the sun dipping low, and lays out a buffalo robe, a pipe and tobacco for Wakataka. Look after us, keep calamity away, he murmurs, his voice steady despite the ache in his arms. Still raw from a recent Sundance, where he'd offered flesh for visions. One came weeks ago. Soldiers falling upside down into camp, a sign of triumph or warning. Back at Custer's camp, Bloody Knife sharpens his blade by a flickering fire, his Arikara accent thick. Too many out there, General. I won't see the sun again. Custer, lounging in his straw hat, bought off the Yellowstone, laughs it off. Bloody Knife, you're too grim. We'll cut through them like butter. Nearby enlisted men, some in white shirts, others in straw hats, like Major Reno, croak out the doxology hymns to steady nerves. While Custer stares into the dark, mind racing, not on defeat, but on headlines at 9 p.m. Crow Scouts gallop in breathless. We found it, the main Lakota Trail, heading west to the Little Bighorn. Custer's up in 20 minutes, decisive. Varnum, take the scouts to the Crow's Nest lookout. We'll follow, move out. Lieutenant Varnum nods, leading his team off, as Custer rallies the column for a night march. His plan 12 miles. A coffee break, 5 more. Then another 12 to reach the river by dawn on the 25th. Rest all day, strike at first light on the 26th. Just like Vasheda in 68, it worked then. He's sure it'll work now, the men groan, but obey, trudging through darkness. Coffee gulped at halts, barely keeping them upright. Trails crisscross the valley, proof of the swelling village, But Custer sees only opportunity. Dawn breaks on the 25th and they halt. Spent just shy of the Little Bighorn. Varney sends word, the Crows spotted a massive village from the nest. Custer rides ahead alone. Squinting from the bluff at 9 a.m. he sees nothing. Bluffs block the view, but a seasoned scout rides up fast. General, more Indians down there than you've ever faced. Hang me if I'm wrong, Custer snaps. Hanging you do us no good now. Oh yeah. Bloody Knife joins in grim enough. Sioux to fight us 3 days. Custer chuckles, we'll finish them in 1. He's not worried about losing, just that they'll scatter before he can claim the win. Then his brother Tom rushes in. A mule dropped its hardtack. Cheyenne grabbed it and ran. Custer's face hardens, they know we're here. No rest, we hit them now. The men, dead on their feet, grab rifles as he pivots from stealth to speed. Midday looms and Custer splits his force near the creek. Reno, 175 men with me to the river Benton. 115 left to scout block their escape. He orders voice clipped. A Crow scout face painted. Grabs his arm to many down there. Don't divide us, Custer yanks free. You scout, I fight. He leaves one. With the pack train already trailing miles back. At 11:45, they roll out, Reno and Custer down the creek bent. Veering west later. That Crow scout mutters to him, we're going home today by a strange trail. This isn't chance, it's collision. Grant's gunmen and Black Hill scheme starve the Lakota into defiance. Custer's rush turned a trap into a trigger. Could he have waited, shadowed them to Terry? Maybe, but that's not Custer. He saw 2,000 warriors as a prize, not a threat. History proves numbers don't bow to bravado. Disaster's brewing and it's close. It's 11:45 on June 25th. And the 7th Cavalry fractures into motion. 3 jagged prongs, slicing toward the Little Bighorn, 12 to 15 miles from the village's edge. Reno's 175-pound down the creek's left bank. Horses snorting steam hooves, slamming wet gravel. Major Reno sways, in the saddle, straw hat askew, whiskey flask glinting as he grips the reins. Benton's 115 angle southwest boots, scraping sagebrush. Carbines clanking as they weave through gullies. Captain Benton squints into the sun, cursing under his breath at the rough terrain. Custer's 200,220 ascend the bluffs, right, spurs biting flanks, dust curling off the ridge. His red cravat flaps buckskin jacket taut as he scans the horizon a mile back. 130 wrestle the pack train. Mules, balk ropes, snap ammo crates thud to the ground. Captain McDougal yells, move. Damn you Custers, weaving a trap. Reno strikes the village's heart. Benteen seals the southwest flank. He hammers from above, no warrior slips the noose. Orders land loose and lean. Reno's clipped command echoes as they part, charge and hit him hard. No word on when or if Custer follows. Bentini gets a brisk scout left. Sweep wide, with a jab, toward the hills. Nothing on pace or rendezvous. Custer's plan, unspoken, hinges on Reno pinning the He'll barrel down the bluffs or arc north. Once chaos erupts, Bentini mutters later. He wanted me out, damn gloryhog wrong. His flanks, no snub. It's a cork for southwest runners. But the Crow Scouts' shout lingers as they scatter. Too many, even united. Don't split Custer's, barked. I fight you, Scout, buries it. 660 diced 4 ways. Can't cage 2,000 warriors bristling for blood. He's misreading the beast ahead. Scouts pegged it from the crow's nest. A tremendous village, 1,000 teepees sprawl to miles. 18 to 2,000 fighters thick, among 7,000 souls. At 2:30, a translator spots 50 warriors. Kicking dust near the creek. Shouts rip out. They're running like devils. Custer's grin flashes. He sees flight, not fight off base. Rosebud's echo pumps through the camp. Crazy horses win over Crook, has them coiled. Not cowed, outmanning him for 2-1. Charlie Reynolds' Lonesome Charlie had eyed it earlier. Quiet, biggest bunch I've seen. Custer's scoff will cut through Mrs. The math shock won't crack this wall. The rift tears open quick. By 2:30 Reno's 175 thunder toward the ford. Horses splash across Rain's whip. Rifles swing loose as troopers shed coats in the heat. Reno gulps from his flask, voice slurring faster. Get in there, no sight of Custer's plume on the bluffs. Betton's 115 slog through a gulch. Horses stumble on scree. Men curse as thorns snag trousers. Miles west and drifting Custer crest the ridge, glassing the plain 220 fan out. Rain's taut sweat-streaking faces under straw hats. He points, north barking holds steady. Wait for it, the pack train's a wreck. Mules lock hooves a mile back. McDougal kicks a crate upright, shouting, tie it down, a half-mile, splits them. Renault's dust fades from Custer's view. Bentine's hoofbeats die in the wind. No runner bridges the gap. No trumpeter's call cuts the haze. Renault's 175 hit the village's edge solo. Bentine's 115 poke, blind too far to pivot. Custer's 220 perch, ammo thin. Strike unloosed, this is a snare. Snapping apart Custer's webs got gap split. Units don't snare without a thread. Renault's charging 175 slam into thousands. No lifeline to the bluffs. Bentine's 115 crawl southwest. Minutes from useless. The pack train's ammo sits a mile off. Mules, mired Custer's high grounds a perch. Not a hammer. 220 can't fault ravines to stitch this mess. The Crow Scout's warning was cold. Fact divisions, a death knell against these odds. Washitar's dawn raid worked with surprise and weight. This midday carve-ops got neither. Little Bighorns tallying the butcher's bill fast. It's 3 p.m. on June 25th, and Major Marcus Renault's 175 men hit the Little Bighorns ford. Full tilt horses splash across, hooves pounding through the shallows, water spraying as they churn toward the village. Renault swaying in the saddle, yanks his reins hard, straw hat flapping, and roars. Charge, charge at the village. His voice slurs whiskey thick on his breath. From the flask, jostling at his hip, the line surges, horses snort, carbines slap against lever. Reins snap as troopers lean low. Half a greenhorns, never drilled in combat. Some clutch rifles, like lifelines, others fumble them wide-eyed. They thunder across the open grassland, dust boiling up. Aiming for the hunk papa end of the camp. Sitting bulls people 600 yards out. Teepees looming in a tight, sprawling mass at 300 yards. Renault's nerve cracks, the village isn't scattering. Warriors dart between teepees. Numbers swelling, not dozens, but hundreds halt slow. Stop, he shouts, arm jerking up flask, flashing as he nearly drops it. Horses skid-rearing. Men curse, crashing into each other. A private tumbling from his saddle into the trees. Dismount, now Renault barks, pointing to the cottonwood fringe along the river 9-5. Troopers swing down boots, slamming dirt, dragging mounts into the timber. They scramble into a skirmish line, rifles outstretching across the grass river. Shielding their right flank, left wide open fire. Fire, Reno yells. Staggering along the line, carbines crack, smoke sputters, bullets zip toward the village. Wild and high a trooper grins. Duck shooting. But most shots smack teepee poles or bury in dirt. Ammo crates stranded miles back with the pack train. The line's shaky. 30% of these men have never fired a carbine before today. Triggers, Jerk barrels, wobble. Bullets spray uselessly. Reno paces. Flask two lips, slurring. Hold, shoot straight. Damn it, a private reloads. Hands trembling, spills half his rounds. Another jams his breech, swearing. The village erupts. A hunk papa cries shout cuts through. They're coming, they're coming. Women shriek, dragging kids behind teepees. Poles shatter under stray lead. Gauls, 2 wives and 3 children crumple in the first volley, blood soaking. The grass warriors bolt upright. Lancers grab paint jars, smash open. Feathers tie fast. 500, charge out. Estimates later claim horses pounding. War cries splitting the air. Arrows whistle in thwacking trees. Bullets snap back. Reno's men hold, repulsing the wave. A trooper takes an arrow through the arm. Grunts, keeps firing. Got one. He yells, swigging a canteen. 10 minutes in. The tide shifts. Warriors regroup. Hundreds more flood from the camp. Hooves shaking the ground. Crazy Horse emerges, slow lightning streaks daubed on his face. Hair loose, mounting his pony as chants rise. Crazy Horse is coming. Reno's line buckles. Arrows pepper the timber. A trooper drops, clutching his thigh. Too damn many, Reno mutters. Flask slipping as he gulps again into the woods. Pull back, he shouts. Voice ragged. The retreats are tangled. Men trip over roots, horses rear. Carbines clatter as they pile into the cottonwoods. 95 cram in, reloading fast. Still, cocky, only 1 wounded so far. We're good, hold M here, a sergeant calls, snapping a fresh round in. 20 minutes later, the timbers a kill zone. Arrows rain, thunk thunk. Shafts bury in trunks. Warriors crawl forward. Torching grass smoke coils thick. Stinging eyes, bullets, zing. Bark explodes, a private shoulder blooms red. He screams, dropping his rifle. Ironhawk's band breaches the edge. War cries erupt. Rifles blaze point blank. Bloody knife ducks beside Reno, tracking a shadow crack. A slug slams his skull, brain and blood blasting across Reno's face. The major reels, clawing at his eyes, blinded. Gagging, his straw hat tumbles off. Run. Run for your lives, he screams. Voice shredded, every man for himself. A trooper hollers, panic explodes. Men bolt, rifles hit the dirt. Boots pound, some mount, some sprint crashing through brush. A private trips, an arrow skewers his backies down. Shrieking as warriors close in. The dash to the river's bedlam. Horses plunge into the ford. Water froths, red riders topple as arrows slam ribs. A trooper's horse bolts, dumping him. His arm snaps under a hoof. He's dragged under the far banks. An 8-foot clay bluff. Horses slipped. Men claw up boots, sinking in slick muck. A choke point bottlenecks. The climb hunk papa marksmen perch atop feathers. Glinting, picking targets. A sergeant's head cracks open, tumbling back. Another's chest caves under a bullet. Slumping midstream, black elk, 13 trails. The warrior spots a wounded trooper, writhing. Scalp him, boy. A rider yells. Black elk leaps off. Knife flashing saws at hair. The man grinds his teeth, moaning. Black elk jams his pistol to the skull, fires. Finishes the cut. Another soldier ducks into mulberry bushes. Boys chase arrows, peppering like hunting rabbits. Black elk laughs, he yelps, wow. As an arrow hits, they torch the grass. He staggers out, riddled fast across the river. 80 straggle up. Half of Reno's 175, gone, piling onto a hill, later named for him. Men collapse, rifles clatter. Some reload, hands shaking. Others sob, clutching bloodied arms. Second Lieutenant Luther hairjams a flagpole in the dirt. Barking, die like men, not whipped. Curs Reno staggers atop red bandana. Dripping eyes, wild froth beads, his lips. A madman from Apocalypse Now. Where's Custer? Where's Benteen? He slurs, spinning flask, empty below. Screams echo, wounded, litter the bank. Scalped alive, a corporal pleads. They're dying down there, let's go. Reno whirls, snarling. You want him? Get him yourself. Sergeant White recoils. That broke us worse than the fight. He'd write, later warriors swarm the fallen. Two hunk papa girls saw off, bloody knives, head braids swinging, giggling to their mother, his sister, who freezes recognizing the ornaments. The routes relentless, Renault's men huddle. Carbines, low ammo. A memory pack train miles off. Warriors circle below, arrows arc up. A trooper clutches his throat, gurgling. A private fires, blind bolt jamming. We're done, he yells, hurling it down. Renault's orders falter. Hold. Hold, where's the damn line? Voice lost in the wind, the hills, a trap open, pinned, no cover. 50 warriors peel off, probing the flank, hooves rumble, dust rises. A trooper bolts downhill. Panic driving him, lanced in seconds. Body dragged back, hair snaps. Rounds off, shouting stand. Damn you stand. But the fight's bled out, 80 clutch dirt. Watching comrades carved below Renault's collapse. Sealing their corner of this disaster. Little bighorns grinding on, unforgiving. It's 3:40 p.m. on June 25th, and George Armstrong Custer commands the bluffs above the Little Bighorn. His 220 men spread along the ridge, their horses pawing nervously at the shale, while carbines clank against saddles. Reins pull taut as troopers settle into position. Below them, the village sprawls across the greasy grass. 2 miles of teepees, 100 strong housing, 7,000, Lakota and Cheyenne, a churning mass of defiance. To the south, Reno's fight has crumbled. His 80 survivors scramble up their hill. Dust swirling as screams drift from the riverbank, where warriors swarm the wounded. Custer lifts his field glasses northward. The red cravat at his neck, whipping in the wind. His buckskin jacket, stretched tight across his shoulders, a sharp grin splits his face. Hurrah, boys, we've got him, he bellows. His voice booming over the restless clatter of gear. His men erupt in cheers, fist thrusting upward. Straw hats, wobbling white shirts, rippling in the heat. He yanks his big hat back with a quick flick, and shouts, hold your horses, plenty for us all. Renault's flop doesn't dim his fire. This dwarfs Washita 10 times larger. Maybe the career-defining prize he's chased since a sick will crush him flat and ride home. He calls, locking eyes on the intact camp. Convinced it's his for the taking. His 220 snap into action, horses snorting steam as nostrils flare, men thumbing carbine bolts while wiping sweat with grimy cuffs. Custer twists in the saddle and glasses south once more. Catching sight of Renault's broken line on the hill. Faint shots popping in the distance. They've stirred him up, we finish it. He mutters with a quick nod. He swings his arm north, pointing firmly, and spurs his mount forward with a barked order. A private swing wide, the troop hustles into motion. Reins creaking as troopers nudge their horses. Spurs biting into flanks, a private lets out a whoop. Sitting Bull's hours for the centennial. Laughter ripples through the ranks. Nerves buzzing beneath the bravado. Custer's strategy solidifies. Reno has cracked the hive open. Now, he'll slam the north end for a total rout, ensuring no escapes. His force is lean. Though ammunition runs low, the pack train still mired a mile back, he snaps his fingers with a sharp command. Sergeant Canapé, ride to McDougal. Tell him to drop the mules. If they're dragging, bring those packs fast. It's a monster camp. Canapé nods swiftly. Kicks his horse into a gallop. And dust trails behind him as he bolts south. Custer pivots in an instant. His voice cutting through Martini. Fetch Bentini, Giovanni, Martini. Trumpet slung at his hip, steps forward fast. Adjutant William Cook grabs a scrap of paper. His pen scratching out a hurried note. Bentine, come on. Big village, be quick. Bring packs, W. Cook. Custer snatches the message, thrusts it into Martini's hand. With a terse, ride like hell. He claps him on the shoulder. Good luck. Martini swings into the saddle. spurs digging in and peels south at a dead run. The last white survivor to see Custer standing tall, hat cocked, buckskin pants creased, brimming with unshakable fight. Then silence engulfs them. Martini's hoofbeats dwindle into the haze. Custer's 220 plunge into the bluff's labyrinth, where ravines twist narrow and ridges rise, jagged dust cloaking their advance. He might have barked a crisp order north. Move out, leading the charge toward Medicine Tail, coolly. His horse splashes through the ford, water churning as 220 fan out behind him. With carbines raised, a trooper fumbles his rifle, spilling rounds that ping off the rocks, prompting a snapped rebuke from an officer. Keep it steady. Another trooper loses his straw hat as it tumbles down the slope, cursing as he yanks his mount back into line. Warriors, numbering 18 to 2,000, could have spotted him. Then scouts shouting warnings. Runners darting through the camp, hundreds breaking off from Reno's crumbling fight. To gallop north, arrows might have sliced through the air with a whiz, and a thwack one nailing a trooper's chest, sending him flopping backward off his horse. Bullets could have snapped in reply, popping off as a horse crumples to the ground, its rider pinned beneath it, yelling as the animal kicks in panic. Custer might have rallied his men with a slashing shout. Line up fire. His voice cuts through the rising din, carbines barking out a ragged volley. Or perhaps he's 30% of them, untested, froze in the saddle bolts, jamming in their rifles. Horses rearing as lancers tore into their ranks. He could have pushed downslope with a roared command. Hit 'em, charge. 10 minutes in, the tide shifts. Teepees loom ahead, and warriors erupt from the camp. 500, perhaps 1,000, war cries splitting the sky. As their horses wheel into position, a trooper squeezes off a shot, the crack missing its mark as the bullet kicks up dust. An arrow finds his shoulder, and he drops from his saddle with a sharp curse. Crazy Horse might have swept in at that moment, his hair loose and lightning streaks flashing across his face, leading a tidal wave of warriors that smashes into Custer's side. The line could have held firm, Custer shouting, "Stand, shoot," as carbines spit lead in a desperate burst. Or it might have cracked apart, men bolting in every direction as warriors closed in. With knives flashing, a horse screams, its belly gutted by a lance, and its rider scrambles to his feet, only to be hacked down in seconds. Did Custer climb higher instead, calling out up? Take the ridge as his 220 dig in, trading shots until their ammunition begins to thin. Arrows rain down with a splitting a trooper's skull as he slumps forward. Bullets zing through the air, a sergeant's leg buckling beneath him, as a lance drives home mid-shout. Or did panic seize them, greenhorns scattering, veterans cursing Custer's shouts of hold? Damn it, swallowed by the screams. As 2,000 warriors overwhelm his force, theories pile up, but none land solid ground. He might have crossed the coulee, his horses splashing through. As 220 slam into the camp's rear, carbines blazing at the teepees. Warriors counter swiftly, hundreds swarm forward, lances stabbing through the air, rifles popping as his line phrases, and men fall in quick succession. A trooper reloads with a frantic shout of faster, faster, but his fingers slip, rounds tumbling into the dirt. Another's horse bolts dragging him across the ground, until a war club flattens him. Perhaps he held to the high ground, using the bluffs as a shield, while 220 fire downward spent shells piling beside them. Until their clips run dry, warriors climb the ravines, arrows arching upward, bullets snapping back. A private's chest caves in under a shot, and he flops lifeless. A corporal's arm hangs, useless, pierced by an arrow shaft. Or it could have been a full root. Troopers breaking apart, 30% of them untested and freezing in place as warriors carve through. Custer's cries of "form up," drowned out by the shrieks of the dying, Lakota accounts later offer conflicting tales. Some claim he fought fiercely,